but something is.
Hmm.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you, Edith. We just can't see you.
Right.
But if you're
Yeah,
okay
I can
with
hear
that,
and see everybody, but I don't know what is the problem.
all right.
I checked and my camera isn't plugged in.
If you have a webcam, I don't know if it's just unplugging and replugging it back in. I've been having to do that a lot lately.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I will
Okay.
call the meeting to order. Thank you for being here. First item, looking at approving the March meeting minutes. We have a motion to approve.
I so move.
Second.
Okay.
All in favor, the three of us.
Oh, yeah, well,
Yeah,
yes,
right,
thank
three
you.
of us.
Yeah, I am also in favor, so very good.
We don't have a quorum though, do we?
Well, Dirk isn't able to serve on the board anymore. So I don't know if he's still officially on the roster or how that changes things numbers wise.
Oh,
Oh,
So we have Lori, right?
where's Lori?
yeah, Lori. So Lori she was going to be in traffic,
Oh,
and was going to try it and join. Let's see if I've got. Hold on. I am so. Let's see.
So we got applications out for new members, you think? I haven't seen anything.
Let's see. I'll see what we can find for you. So.
Well, if it, in my counting, there's 1, 2, 3, 4,
We have 6.
5. I
But
took
Sarah, you
5.
were 5 individuals on. I mean, I'm sorry, 5 individuals currently serving on the board is what you're saying, Edith. I thought there were 6, but you're saying, Sarah, that you thought 1 was no longer on the board.
That's correct.
So how do we confirm? Did they announce that they were no longer going to be on the board?
There was an email to me that I forwarded to the rest of the group, so I don't know how official that is since it's just from me.
Oh, let's see.
Well, hi, Mary.
Who else? Hi, Mary.
Hi.
So Mary, we're kind of discussing the fact if we have a quorum. To the best, Sarah thought she had gotten an email from Dirk Wooten stating that he was no longer going to be able to serve on the board.
Oh, he sent that to you? Was that recently? Oh, Sarah, you're muted.
Oh, Sarah, you're muted.
Thank you. I'm sorry. Dirk is moving out of state.
Oh, and when did he send that? Was that recently?
Let me pull that up.
I remember seeing the email, Sarah.
Okay.
Did
Yeah.
we forward that?
And
We
what?
should
Yeah,
have forwarded
she
that
did.
to Clerk. Maybe we did, but so that puts you down to 6. You still need 50.
Put us to 5.
We got
Well, it
Wallace.
put us to
Five.
5.
Edith.
Yeah, it puts us to 5.
Oh. So then if you have only
Oh wait,
5.
no, it puts us at 6. I apologize. Let's see. I sent the email out earlier asking that individuals.
And do
I
you
did have you all.
a youth council member? They're not
No,
really part of the board. You should have a youth council member. I think is it Hank? You do have one assigned to you.
well, I know that Hank is a youth council member or a board member on our Lakewoods Promise. He's just not been there.
Well, they're not actually part of your quorum, but
Mm-mm.
that's technically someone else that could be here. But so I mean, I guess you can wing it.
Well, I mean, I don't want to. What do you think, Sarah?
I mean, I would lean towards moving forward, especially since we didn't have the April meeting.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess be good to, maybe just send a note out to all members that are currently on the roster and kind of affirm membership moving forward.
Yeah, and we need
Okay.
to make sure, Shannon, we'll just make sure that the city clerk has that information, so that she can remove him from the board, and then they'll post the position so that we can get, more participation. So I
Good
think-
idea.
Okay,
Yeah. That's your responsibility. Although if you guys know of anybody that would be good on the board, and that might be something that you also share with collaboration, because you really want to get folks that, understand what you're doing and who you're working with and the purpose. So if there's good folks in the community that might be interested, you always want them to apply, although council makes the decision regarding who's on the board, but it's good to do some recruiting for them. So.
I mean, if it's appropriate, I'm wondering whether we could send a note out to all of the grantees or even just organizations who have applied for funding in the past. And, obviously they would recuse themselves from any decisions for funding for their organization, but,
Yeah.
they would be certainly well-versed in the issues.
So the city clerk would post it, and then we would take that and forward it to whoever we want. So we'll send
Okay.
it to you guys, and then if Shannon sends it to everybody in the collaboration, that's all the people that get funded are in the collaboration. So that's
Okay, great.
So can we send something out to specifically to the service organizations like Kiwanis and Elks and Rotary and?
She sends it to us, and then we, I don't know, they put it in sometimes, we can send it to everybody else. So we
Okay,
can send it
alright.
to anybody that we want. So if there's service club folks out there, yeah, that would be great.
Because I know, because my wife's now a member of the Rotary, which means that she volunteers for absolutely everything in the world. And so there might be other people in that organization that would do the same.
Sure, you bet.
oh, I may have met her last Wednesday, Michael. I spoke at the Rotary Club meeting, lunch, at a fabulous lunch. Okay. So
Okay,
we
so are
have
we
the
going
minutes
ahead with the
approved.
meeting then?
Sure.
I do believe so.
Okay. Shannon, would you like to lead us through the funding priority discussion?
I would. Let me go and pull up my PowerPoint here to share with all of you. Okay, let's see. Oops. Come on. Sorry, everybody. Come on. Why?
Those are not prioritized, right, in that list? Okay.
Why are we on? There we go. All right. Okay. All righty. So thank you everyone for joining tonight's meeting. Again, this is a presentation to the Community Services Advisory Board, and we're going to talk about the 2023-2024 Human Services funding. So essentially, these were the human strategies, or the Human Service 5 strategies that we had issued last time. Again, these are something we are going to discuss to see if anyone wants some changes made to it, if we want to include other areas. We know that workforce development and youth mental health are extremely important to us right now. And in fact, we are actually funding some of our providers through our ARPA dollars. So again, this is something that we might want to consider including in our Human Services 5 strategies. Of course, they are included. They're not called out, but they are currently included in some of the strategies, like the emotional support for youth. I would say the healthcare and behavioral health, or the crisis stabilization, actually. We are supporting youth while we're supporting their families. And as we all know, that is extremely, extremely important. So I did pass out to you all, and pardon me, I'm looking through all of my notes. So we'll just kind of go through the strategies, and as a reminder of kind of what they encompass. So emotional support for youth, these are the direct services for youth and children. Historically, we have funded programs that, oh, where did I put that? Mary and I went over this morning. I apologize. I was going to expand on that. All right, guys. We have access to food, healthcare, behavioral health, crisis stabilization, and housing and homeless prevention. Here you can see, so here's some of the individuals that we have funded over the years. You can see it's from 2017 through current. A lot of these individuals, because they are such strong partners of ours, and they serve our local community, our youth and families in particular. Again, they have great infrastructure, and they're just solid organizations. We continue funding them. So again, I anticipate they will probably be throwing their hat in the ring this funding round. But you can see we have the communities and schools, community health care, Lindquist Dental for children coming back, and then our Pierce County project access, or in the access to health and behavioral health. Then we have our emotional support and youth program. Again, we have Asian Pacific Cultural Center, communities and schools, the Boys and Girls Club. We also have Pierce County AIDS Foundation with their Oasis Youth Center, and then also our YMCA of Pierce and Kitsap counties, again, supporting our youth. And then I put our Lakewoods Promise in here. Again, they are a local, or one of our advisory committees here, very, very, very focused on our local youth. And then we go to the housing assistance and homeless prevention programs. We've got our 3 key players here with Catholic Community Services, Rebuilding Together South Sound, and Tacoma Rescue Mission. Crisis stabilization and advocacy. Again, we have our Greater Lakes Mental Health, Rebuilding Hope Sexual Assault Center. We have Springbrook Connections, and then YWCA Pierce County. They help us with their domestic violence services. And then finally, to round out those 5 strategies, we have access to food. So again, we've got our emergency food network, Making a Difference Foundation, Nourish comes back to us. We have St. Leo's Food Connection with another mobile food bank, and then our Tillicum Community Center. So our timeline, we're meeting today. So really this meeting, you all, is to prepare us, to get us ready to go forward to council with our recommended strategies. And so that we can continue on. We're hopeful of releasing the application in mid-July. And again, we're going to go over the application tonight, as well as the rating criteria, to see if we can work out any bugs there. And then we will have our workshop for the human services applications. That'll be at the end of July. And we're going to give our applicants probably about an 8-week turnaround time. So in September, we'll put a board together and we'll review those applications. It's probably anticipated that not everybody's going to qualify. We, historically, as I understand it, which is with all funding processes, you get more applications in need than the monies that you have. So we're really going to try and create an application, again, one it's going to kind of create again, focus on the importance of the community and needs of the community. We're not going to make it terribly difficult for individuals. We don't want to scare people away from applying. Then in October, we'll do this is what we're proposing, but again, something we're going to talk about on the call tonight, virtual interviews with applicants. I understand historically that we've asked that, they've come in and they've presented to council, and then given like a 3-minute discussion and maybe 1 minute talking about their programs, and then about another 2 minutes for council to ask them questions. In November, then we will anticipate that City Council will review these funding recommendations. And in the end of November, we'll get approval on the budgets, the city's budget, and those funding recommendations. And then after that, it's a matter of implementing all of those programs, contracts, and whatnot. So we reached out on our last community collaboration meeting. We did ask our members to weigh in on the 5 strategies on the application process for those who were previously involved. We were looking for any sort of improvement in the process. Did not really get any recommendations for improvement in the process, but these were the messages that we came away from after that meeting. Again, so this is, they seem to be mirroring our youth. I know that our youth council have mentioned on a number of occasions, whether it be, you know, during our youth council meeting or in a presentation to council, that they just need more crisis counselors in their schools. It is so important. Another thing is we need to service the basic needs areas for our families. Again, strong families create stronger youth. So we really need to focus on those areas. And again, these services should represent our community. We really want to get in touch with those underserved members of our community, the bilingual people and people of color. Transportation is a huge topic. I know that communities and schools, Carrie Pedrick has been talking about transportation for our youth for quite some time. So we need affordable access to transportation so that our youth who do not have the means to participate in summer school programs or summer programs, or for instance, my youth summit coming up on Saturday, are able to access these events without having to think about it, without having to stop and think about it. Can I get there? Teen mental health first aid training. This is something that I understand is fairly new on the scene. I do know that we have a couple of community partners that are licensed. We have Diana Sullivan, who is with the Boys and Girls Club. She is licensed to lead this training, as well as Lisa Salon on our Lakewood's Choice. So again, that was mentioned, teen mental health first aid training, and essentially that teaches our teens how to not only deal with their own mental health, but also to help their friends, but without, kind of taking that on. So it gives them resources and methods to do that. Also, more shelters located in the city of Lakewood. I don't know that we have any located in the city of Lakewood. Mary might be able to answer that, but one of our partners was on there, and she helps a lot of these families. She works with the homeless. And she said that one of the biggest hindrances of getting families into shelters successfully is just getting them from Lakewood, the transportation to the outside shelters. So it would be really great if we could have shelters within the city of Lakewood to make it more convenient and hopefully more successful for our homeless population. And so that kind of concludes my presentation, and then we can, there we go. Concludes my presentation there. So what I'd like to talk about now, and I know, go ahead, Mary, sorry.
Did we lose Edith? Is she still on the line?
No, where'd she go? Oh,
I don't
Edith.
think so.
Because if Edith's gone, you absolutely don't have a quorum. And you're gonna
Where'd she go?
Yeah, you're gonna have to reschedule it. So, I mean, we could still go through it all, but
She's not, yeah, she's not in the, let's see, she didn't.
I know
She did not.
Because there were 5 participants.
She was on earlier.
Mhm.
She was
Let
having
me
some
see.
issues. Yeah.
She's usually very good at responding to me. So I just sent her an email. Where do we want to go from here? If we don't have her, then we don't have a quorum. Definitely.
So we can't make any decisions, but, I feel bad about this because I was on the task force that rewrote some of this stuff. But going through it again, I do have a couple of comments, and would it be appropriate to just go ahead and make a record, an unofficial record of that, so y'all can think about it and see if it's anything
Yeah,
worth
I mean,
addressing in the future?
Yeah, we can have a conversation. And so regarding the topic and the information, it's just a conversation at this point. And then I think what we're going to need to do is, because what you're doing tonight, or we'll do at our next meeting, is so important because you're going to be, making the recommendation to council. Here's the strategies. Here's what we want to keep. Here's what we want to change, want to combine, add, whatever you decide. Making the recommendation regarding, do you want to make sure we go back to a 2-year process versus, the onesies, which we did the last 2 times because of COVID. Talking about the application, talking about the scoring. I mean, that's all really important, and council's going to want to know that. And for us to stay on track, that's going to be mid-June. So I think then you'd have to have a special meeting either next week or the following week.
Yeah.
Because
we're going.
Is there a date and time? I know when Lori was saying that she thought that the meeting might need 5:30 was early for her. So, is there a later time? Is virtual still best to get everybody there, or would everybody want to be in the same room? We'll figure that out. So
yeah,
I think it's great
so
to continue the conversation because you guys obviously are most prepared people. You're here. You've been doing this for quite some time. We'd love to get feedback from you, and we can add it to all the other thoughts and then put together some more materials for you for the next meeting.
So should we decide a meeting date tonight? Or
well, I think no, because you don't have the people who aren't here. They're the ones that are the
that's true. Okay.
having the challenge. But I think you can have a conversation if Michael wanted to share, and Sarah, you probably got
just 10 minutes. I have a couple of things.
on the
more than a couple of
strategies
things.
process or any of that. Let's just get some feedback at this point, and then we'll worry
Okay.
about pulling it all together because you're gonna have to do it all over again.
Okay, so I printed this
Sounds
back
good.
to back, so I'm not sure if I get the right sequence. But when you go to the section that said budget at a glance, okay?
You want to bring
It
it up?
says-
What are we?
He's looking at
says-
your application, I think.
It says City of Lakewood funds requested. Then it says other program funds. That's all. Is it other program funds requested?
I think what that is saying is you, what other funds are you getting to support that program? So maybe that needs to be clarified. That's a good point. It's like
Okay,
if you get money from the city of Lakewood, you get money from the Kiwanis Club, you get money from, Pierce County Social Services, how are you funding this program? So
okay,
how
because
much?
I would not have looked at it that way. I would not have looked
I'm
at
pretty sure that's what we're looking for there. So I think that's good. That's a good point, Michael. And I think that's what they're trying to say, because one of the things that the CSAB has always said is we don't 100% fund anybody, right? We want to be a partner in whatever program is out there.
Okay, so on the very first page, has this always been the case? We always ask general liability insurance coverage of at least $1 million? Really?
Yeah.
Okay. On 4B, like I said, I get this back to back, so it's all screwed up.
I don't have it in front of me.
It says, is this program tailored or adapted to reach diverse populations? I think we should change it to say, it says, how is this program tailored? And I thought it might be better to say, is this program tailored? And if so, how?
Yeah, we talked about that today. Equity and diversity is so important. And how are we reaching our underserved populations, whether it's cultural, whether it's location, whether it's economic, how are they reaching the folks that their intention is to serve? Are they doing some really specific outreach, or are they just sort of opening the door and say, show up if you can? So.
Okay, I think 3A and 3B somehow could be combined. 3A says, describe the program's measurable outcomes. What are the enduring benefits to Lakewood? And so a thought was, how do you measure, well, wait a minute. Is the program working? If so, how do you measure the success? Do you have client feedback? It just seems to be a little repetitious, but it's just a thought. And I have a couple more thoughts, but not too many. Okay. On our scoring, why do we penalize an organization if their budget is less than $1 million? Or the opposite. If the organization's operating budget is less than $1 million, they get 2 points. If it's not, they get 0.
I don't think it's a matter of penalizing those organizations so much as this city funding may not be the most appropriate funding for that organization because larger organizations with larger budgets have more access to
Okay.
state, federal funding, et cetera.
right.
So it's kind of an equity concern.
Okay, 1C says primarily serves Lakewood children and or youth. So if I'm reading this, I'm thinking, are you saying that 75% of the clients are youth or 75% of the children they serve are from Lakewood? That's confusing to me.
Clarify. Yeah, well, we can look at that. And the point of that was 2 years ago, I think it was, could have been last round, Sarah, you could probably remind us, was that when we talked about, do you weight questions? Do you prioritize questions? And one of the resources, or one of the thoughts at that point was, this was pre-COVID too, was youth programs are so important in our community that we were going to give youth related programs a bump, right? So I think that is a 643, right?
Okay, so maybe that's just worth a peek.
We can have that conversation if that's still a priority. Maybe it's not a priority, and maybe it's just, maybe people that serve older adults should get as many points as people that serve young children or homeless people, or that's a good conversation piece. But I think that's the kind of conversation you want to have, because what was a priority 3 years ago might not be a priority now, or if we're giving a bunch of money now in another way, maybe it doesn't need to be a priority, or that's a good conversation.
Okay, the only other thing that on 4B on our scoring sheet, it says clear intent to address gets 2 points. Program is able to address only gets 1 point. So you get more points if you intend to, but less points if you actually do.
That's a good point. Maybe it's the wording.
Okay.
And maybe that could be clarified a little bit.
And 4C, boy, I got to tell you, Sarah, demonstrates strong commitment to equity, demonstrates some or moderate commitment to equity. I don't know how you measured that. And I don't know if I was filling out the thing, I'd say, I would love to pay everybody the same salary. I mean, I don't know how to answer that. And maybe that's just me, but that appeared to be a little bit difficult to answer. That's all I have.
I had very similar thoughts, actually. I'd love to talk further about that. I
Yeah.
wanted to ask first, is this Lori or Edith who joined us on the phone?
They're not, let's see.
They're muted, whoever
I've
they
asked
are.
them to unmute. Yeah, I've asked them to unmute. Hello? Lori?
Is that her number? 666.
To follow up with what you said, Michael and Sarah, I think that's really great. And part of it is it's on the applicant to be able to define. And you may say one applicant is going to write really clear the different ways that they're really doing outreach. They're going to street fairs, they're going to community neighborhood meetings. They're really doing outreach to try and bring in a diverse population, where other folks might say, we just serve anybody that walks through the door and everybody's welcome, and they haven't really targeted specific populations. So, I mean, it's really about reading the answer and determining, and maybe it needs to be worded differently.
Well, Mary,
It's really about how the person answers the question, not so much.
The question itself, we don't get the answers that you just said. We don't get, well, I go to the community, association meetings, we attend the Kiwanis, we publish something in the local, newspaper. We don't get that stuff, do we, Sarah? We get some nebulous kinds of things that's kind of hard to decipher.
Then they only get 1 point.
So maybe the question, or the question could be.
Yeah, and the people that fill it out
Changed a little
really
bit.
thoroughly. I mean, part of it is just consistency for you as a rater as well. Because if you're reading all of them and they're all kind of the same and you give everybody the same points, then that's okay. But if you're reading it and it's really clear that 3 agencies really have done a great job to try and
Right.
reach a specific population, then
Right.
maybe they get 2 points and everybody else gets 1.
Right. Well,
Kind
you
of
know,
have
and
to
I think,
decide that as a group before you read it, you know, that you're all really clear on the definitions. And then you as an individual about, you know, Shannon and I were talking about this today. It's like, I might be a really high rater. I'm super optimistic and think everybody's doing a good job. And maybe Shannon's a little more critical and she's a little more, you know, okay, everybody starts at a 2 and they only get a 3 if they're really over the above. And, you know, if they really haven't answered it the way that they should have or could have, they get a 1.
well,
So, you know, as long as she's consistent, then it's fine because she's not going to weight it any one special way.
since we went into this new scoring system that we used it, you know, 2 or 3 years ago, or whatever, it's really surprising how consistent the scores are. And exactly what you say, Mary, I'm a more liberal scorer perhaps than somebody else, but it all washes out at the end.
Yeah.
You know, we haven't had anybody that's really been, oh my gosh, that's not right. We can't do that. You know, it's been pretty,
Yeah.
you know, consistent.
But I do think after since you've done it, you know, you've done it and it's been a bit of time, but I do think it's great to go through each question and clarify because you now know you got all those answers and you probably did this 2 years ago, but you know, we've all gone through a lot since then. But yeah, to go through and maybe we won't do it tonight, but to go through each question and really say, is that what we are asking for, right? You remember what kind of answers you got. Do we need to even say, be specific if you didn't say that, because then people are going to know. They get the scoring tool. They should know, I mean, they should have the scoring tool. That's helpful to them because then they know, oh, if I'm not really clear, I'm only going to get 1 point. I'm going to add some more because we're doing this and I'm going to add it so that I can get the most points possible. So, but I think it's a good time to do this.
Are we able to have an in-person meeting?
Sure, if you want to.
Yeah.
I think going through this process, you know, review, I think that would definitely be a benefit.
To have that
For obvious reasons, we don't, you know, we got somebody on the
Yeah.
phone, we don't even know who it is.
Yeah.
You know,
I would agree. Do we want to start that with our next meeting or the special
what
meeting
do you
that we
think,
call?
Sarah?
Yeah, I think definitely a special
Yeah,
meeting in
yeah.
person would be great.
Well, there's so few of us, we can still
Okay.
sit, you know, 20 feet apart in the conference room.
I think one suggestion I have that kind of touches on a lot of these points is that it feels like the application and criteria talk around diversity, equity, and inclusion a lot without explicitly defining things. And I'm wondering whether we might want to have, say, you know, we have a minimum of, say, Black-led organizations or organizations led by people of color in the model of, you know, federal contracts that have an allocation for minority and women-led organizations. Because I feel like that can kind of get around some of the squishiness of commitment to equity and really just what does leadership look like?
But keep in mind, we're not judging leadership, we're judging the program. So I don't disagree with what you're saying. I'm just having a hard time putting my arm around how we're going to do that.
Well, you know, nowadays I'm on several different boards and when you're applying for resources to foundations and places, they ask you what the diversity is of your board, or they ask if you're a minority owned business or not business. So some of that is pretty standard now. So we can decide if that's, and you know, part of it could be if you don't feel like it's a scorable, it's still information to know the strength of their board. Is it representative of the community? So you guys can, as a group, decide, you know, you could ask 20 questions and only really give scores for 12. You know, you could do that too. Oh, we lost somebody. So, you know, you could do that too, because sometimes it gives you more information on the group, but maybe it's not a scoreable question, but it is just informational to kind of let people know, a strong board is important to us, right? We want to make sure that, that, you know, whatever you decide, you guys can make that recommendation, but it's good for council to know you're having those conversations, even if it doesn't change what you push forward, that you're having those conversations to show them that, you know, you guys are really aware of what's happening out in the world and these are important, and we couldn't figure out how to score it, so it didn't get included in the packet, but it's interesting. We're interested to know that. So,
Well, to be honest, I'm a little uncomfortable asking a board what their ethnic composition is, but and how that would relate directly to how we would fund anybody, but that's just me.
I think being, you know, the equity piece is really how, you have to sometimes ask those tough questions and find out people don't make change until maybe it affects them financially. You know, maybe they haven't changed, that they haven't added any diversity to the board because they haven't had to, but if it's
More, but Mary, more indicative of that is what is the ethnic background of the clients that you represent, that you are helping? You know, I mean, if you've got an all-white board and they have, 1,500 people that they help and they've got one minority, obviously, that might be an issue there, but do we really want to get into those details?
that's a conversation that the board might want to have.
Yeah. There might be
think
some
race is
program, might be some
inextricable.
programs, Sarah, that would work.
Yeah, I definitely understand the hesitation. I think race is inextricable from a lot of the funding priorities we're talking about, and to not address that at all explicitly is a gap on our part.
It's worth
I
talking
don't think
about.
we're recognizing what's happening today.
Oh,
Oh,
that's
there's
Edith.
Edith.
Oh, hi, Edith.
Yeah.
Back.
I'm on the phone.
Good. Hey, Edith. So that begs the question, are we able to continue on with tonight's agenda?
I think that we've kind of been in and out. I think that that Michael and Sarah and Edith possibly too. I think that there's so much conversation and it's very detailed with the questions. I think it might make more sense to have a meeting where we could do it in person and really have.
Yep, I do like the in-person.
And really come together
Yeah.
as a group. It's hard to do it in this format. Just these conversations are really rich and valuable. And I think, Michael, you brought up some great points, and Sarah, you provided, we just lost Sarah.
Where's Sarah?
So I think let's have a meeting in person. And we can
Have a meeting.
put all of
Where did
that.
Sarah go?
We lost her.
Oh, no.
But you know what might be great, Shannon, too, is Michael, if you wrote some of those things down, Sarah, you took those notes, is that to send that information out, and if people can provide some thoughts in advance, just to you, not the board, communicate as a board, you can raise those conversations. I think some of the stuff you brought up, Michael, is really, really interesting. And also, someone else brought something up and you're like, how do we value that? How do we count that? How do we score that? How do we weight that? How do we judge that? I think those are great questions. Great questions.
Yeah, it's particularly difficult in the equity.
And how it
question.
reflects on our community.
Yeah.
Because I think that makes a difference too.
Mm-hmm.
Agreed.
So the ask is for when we set this special meeting, that everybody provide thoughts in advance for us to discuss at the meeting, during the meeting, so we can really kind of more hone down on the application.
Would you guys be able to meet next Wednesday, the 25th? It's the last Wednesday of the month. Since today's Wednesday,
I don't have my calendar here, but I believe I don't
you
believe
have a
it's an
park board
issue.
meeting on Tuesday.
Huh?
You have a park board meeting on Tuesday.
Yeah. I think I'm okay.
Do you guys usually meet at 5:30, Michael, or have you guys met later than that?
No, 5:30 is
the
great.
20
That's great for me.
The 25th would be fine.
Okay. I will send an email out to the group about the special meeting. Where? Oh, here's Sarah. Hold on, there's Sarah.
She's back.
Sarah, is that you?
I think that,
Hi,
I
this is
think,
Sarah. Can you hear me now?
Yep, there you are, Sarah. We just
Okay, great.
proposed Wednesday, the 21st at the same time
25th?
for
25th.
25th. Yeah, sorry, 25th, Wednesday, the 25th for the special meeting
Okay.
in person.
Okay.
Shannon,
Yeah.
I'll send an email.
Shannon, are you gonna be in town on the 25th?
I take off Thursday.
Okay.
Yep. Okay, I'll send an email to the rest of the group notifying them.
I think that'll be. I think
The only thing I worry about is if it's at 5:30, will Lori be able to get here?
Well,
But-
we've always had 5:30 meeting.
Yeah, okay.
She could still call in or Zoom in through the conference call, but I do think that with everybody sitting around the table with the paper in front of us, making notes, I think you're
Yeah.
gonna be able to get through it a little bit more specifically and really strategically, so you can be at the end, have a unified recommendation for council.
Agreed.
That's what I did, was call in.
Would you be able to come in, Edith?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I should be able to. That's not a problem. Something went haywire with my computer and I don't know what happened. But I'm on the phone now.
Okay. All right, I'll send an email to the group.
Mary, before we
Right.
leave, I want to ask you something after everybody leaves. Mary?
Yeah, I'm right here. We're live on YouTube. Do you want me to call you? I'm fine answering anything.
No,
you
I
got.
know, I can ask you right now. I just didn't want to bother anybody else.
Let's wait till you're all done and you've all like.
All right. Yep.
So, so you're gonna meet
Okay.
next week on Wednesday, 5:30, and we'll go over everything then.
In person. Yeah.
We'll
Okay.
reach
Yes,
out.
So
in
is that
person.
all? Okay, so are we calling the meeting
Okay.
tonight, leaving you? I'm gonna make you a host, Mary, so you and Michael can stay on.
Oh, I'm the host.
Okay.
I
and
just
we'll
learned
adjourn
that.
The meeting for tonight then.
Thanks, Sarah.
All right. Thank you. Thank you, Mary. Thank you, Michael.
Thank you.
But so do you know about this guy? I walk around the park now, around the lake, because of my therapy for my surgery. And there's this little bald-headed guy that's at the park all the time doing little chores. Do you know about him?
Well, we have Scott McKay. He's out there, but he's not bald.
This guy's a little skinny guy. He's I saw him yesterday pulling weeds out of the bed by the parking lot by the dog park. Last week I saw him over near one of those that concrete block thing, and he was scraping off the moss and just doing all these. I mean, it's great. I was just kind of curious.
Was he wearing a vest?
He has been wearing a utility vest or a
Yeah.
safety
It
vest.
might be Scott McKay. He is a community member. He is been volunteering for several years for us. Primarily, he just stays at Fort Stoughton Park, but he has done some, like, he's gone over to Colonial Plaza and done some weeding and
Oh.
stuff. He's just interested in supporting his community, and he does so many different, he waters trees, he's pulled weeds, does all kinds of stuff. If this is the same person, which I'm sure it probably is.
Yeah.
And he's just a member of the community that wants to give back, and he's
Well, good for him.
did his volunteering, and he's really a nice person.
So one more question. Does animal control patrol over there?
Yeah,
Every
they-
day, I gotta tell you, Mary, every single day, people out there with, dogs not on leashes, not picking up their messes. In fact, a couple of days ago, even around Lake Wohop, there were these two elderly ladies that had this big old dog walking around with all these other dogs walking, not on a leash, and, I hate to say anything, say, listen, I'm on the board here and I'd appreciate it if you follow the rules, but,
I do that too.
yeah.
You need to put your dog on leash. They do, they cover a lot of area. I did see them last Friday out at the park because we were having a Partners for Parks thing. So I was out there about noon, and I did see the animal control van out there by
Okay.
the barns. So I saw them out there. I don't know how often they're out there,
Yeah.
but I do know they do come out there and
All
occasionally.
right. I was just curious.
It's unfortunate that everybody thinks the rules are for everybody else, right? It's like, oh yeah, everybody needs to keep their dog on leash, but not mine. Mine's really
That's right. Yeah.
hard or behaved or whatever, so.
Yeah. Yep. Okay. I was just curious. And by the way, are they catching any fish over there? I've seen guys fishing a couple of times.
I think so. I mean,
'Cause
the people, yeah, they're still fishing. I don't know. I mean, the gentleman who likes to complain about the fact that the lake is dead.
Well, it is pretty green, but there's two geese families over there that have about 10 goslings with them.
I've seen them.
I know, and they double in size in a week. Okay, all right, Mary. We'll see you later.
See you
Bye-bye.
later.